Well, good morning, good afternoon, although I guess most of you guys are going to be in Europe. My name is Belén Gallego, and I'm going to be your moderator today for this online session about hydrogen valleys. Hydrogen valleys are a very important feature, I think, of all of the hydrogen movements that we're having around the world. And it's very simple to explain, for those that may not be familiar with this issue. And it's the fact that you put together in the same place the production of hydrogen, the demand, and the whole supply chain, so that it becomes essentially a virtuous circle. Virtuous circles work wonders in economics, and this is kind of what we're trying to get to in here. And as if this wasn't enough, of course, the European Commission, as well as many other governments around the world, including, of course, the US government, are actually putting on the line a lot of money in subsidies for the creation of different hydrogen valleys, usually because you can see this multiplier effect in this virtuous circle whenever you join together like companies in the supply chain that essentially have the same objectives and can help one another, and so on and so forth. There is definitely a situation where a lot of the R&D is shared and spreads a little bit faster. So this is what we're doing here today, but don't worry, I'm not going to be your main presenter, of course. We do have three experts with us that know a lot more. I only know the bits and bobs, from the top, but these guys are going to tell you in a lot of detail, where is the opportunity, how you can be part of it, and, what is happening throughout Europe. And I'd like to ask each of them to introduce themselves. Leena, if you can go first and introduce briefly yourself and your company.
Thank you, Belén. My name is Leena Sivill. I represent Afry Management Consulting. I physically sit in our Helsinki office in Finland, but we are an international organization, consultants all over the globe, and happy to be part of Afry's international hydrogen expertise network as well. So supporting my colleagues all over Europe, and very nice to be honored to be here to discuss hydrogen valleys with you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here, Leena. Next, I'd like to ask Azahara to please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Belén. Well, my name is Azahara Pastor. I'm the coordinator from Green Highland project from Enagas Renovable. I'm an environmental engineer and innovation lover. I'm very happy to be here, and thanks all of you for the opportunity, and can share all the notes later that I have about the project.
Thank you very much, Azahara. And last but most certainly not least, Riccardo, please, if you could introduce yourself so that people get to know you a bit better.
Hi, everybody. My name is Riccardo Necrisi. I'm the Director of Research and Development here at Duferco Engineering, which is a branch of Duferco Group, working mainly on innovation and all the items related to energy transition. Very happy to share our experience with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Riccardo. Thank you very much, Azahara and Leena. So now you know the three speakers that we have today. As you can see, they're very, very international. So we have Finland, Spain, and Italy present. This is a rarity for us that we have more women than men present, but this is the case in this. Sorry, Riccardo, you're in minority today, but almost never happens. So it makes me really proud when we have a webinar like this. So here is how it's going to be working today. It's going to be very simple. First, we're going to have a presentation from Leena. Then we're going to have a presentation from Azahara, and finally one from Riccardo. And once these three presentations are over, we're going to have some time for Q&A. So if you send your questions, then I'll be able to ask them at the end. We will have limited time, but we'll get to the most interesting questions. To send your questions, just use the Q&A box at the bottom, not the chat, since they're much easier to manage, especially when we have a lot of questions. If you send them through the chat, they get lost in the chatter. So in the chat, I just like to invite you to introduce yourselves, where are you from, where's your company, what's your name? It'll be good, because we're a very international crowd here to get to know one another, and who knows, maybe there is some sparking of networking and partnerships going forward. We just hope that these webinars are a source of information as well as maybe even networking. So without further ado, Maria, if you can take away this slide for us so that I can invite Leena to put her presentation up. And whilst Leena puts presentation up, just to remind everyone that we are recording this session and that it will be available, and you will get an email with the recordings and also with access to the materials. So you can share with your colleagues, you can watch it again. This is like 24/7 learning for you. So Leena, if you go ahead. And you unmute yourself and put your presentation up. And I can see there is a lot of people. I can see Portugal, Romania, Berlin, Switzerland. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Thank you. So very honored to speak
So
of...
you have a presentation, right? You have a PowerPoint. We can't see it.
Let me see what happened there.
So maybe it's in your other screen, but in here, oh, okay, now, yes, perfect. Go ahead. Now.
Great, we are all set. So happy to speak of hydrogen valleys and their background for you today. And speaking of Belen saying networking, so hydrogen valleys are actually networking in action, making the transition happen. So brief background where I come from. So Afry is an international engineering, design and advisory services company, and I represent the management consulting division. We are backed by 19,000 engineers. We are 600 consultants by ourselves, focusing mainly on the energy transition and transition to bioeconomy. And in short, we want to offer a one-stop shop for our clients, meaning that we are represented throughout the whole value chains of hydrogen in all corners of the hydrogen value chain. That said, let's go digging into the topic itself. So what are hydrogen valleys? They are basically hydrogen ecosystems with a strong potential to speed up the development. They have to be large in scale, so scope beyond demonstration. They have to be clearly defined with a geographical scope. They can't be local or regional ecosystems. And let me see where we are with presentation. Yes, they have to cover.
What's your presentation? It's gone. I don't know what happened there. Don't worry, it happens. It happens. If you can put it back on.
Yep.
And then let's just try for you to move the little arrow case and see if they go forward. Because we lost it. It's not. I can't see it. Can any one of you see it? No, right? Can you share it? Yeah, again. Okay. Can you go forward to the next one?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's working now.
Great. Sorry for the technical trouble. So they hydrogen valleys must cover multiple steps in the hydrogen value chain, all the way from hydrogen production to the offtake. And it's also desirable that the hydrogen valleys supply to various end-use sectors. So there's aviation, marine end-use in industries, end-use in road transport. And preferably, they should also apply a common hydrogen supply infrastructure from end to end. So these are the criteria basically for European hydrogen valleys to get support. Our main instrument in Europe is the support given by EU through the Clean Hydrogen Partnership. And this support has been available since 2019. The latest call for support was actually in last April, and we're still waiting for the results of the latest call. So there are 16 operational hydrogen valleys today, not in operation, but on the concept or feasibility phase or different levels of application. Whereas the target set by EU Commission for 2030 is to have at least 50 hydrogen valleys in Europe operational or under construction. The main financing instruments today are the direct support from the Horizon program. So there's 1 billion euros of public money there, which is intended then to raise 1 billion euros of private finance. And there's also additional direct support from the REPowerEU initiative of 200 million euros. And in addition to this, we have multiple indirect support instruments, of course, that are eligible for hydrogen valleys to apply, including, for instance, the hydrogen IPCEI that allows national support. I will talk about the support mechanisms a little bit more later. So the 16 European hydrogen valleys include these projects that you see on the map. So there's a good geographical spread. And there are some 4 to 5 projects that are or can be considered large ones. So with a prospective production of more than 4,000 tons of hydrogen per day. So the majority of the hydrogen valleys that have been supported are still quite small scale. And we are honored then today to have representatives of 2 of those European projects here today. And those 50 hydrogen valleys that are targeted by the EU by 2030, the building blocks for this are based on common research and innovation through the EU Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda. And also the Clean Hydrogen Partnership will operate a joint hydrogen valley facility to support the hydrogen valley developments. So any questions, any issues that the hydrogen valleys have for their concept development, etc., will have informational support from the hydrogen valley facility. Obviously, the EU regulatory framework aims to support hydrogen projects and hydrogen valleys in that sense as well through the regulatory framework. So I've just listed here all the vehicles that we have today to support a common European framework. And on top of this, of course, we do have the national regulation as well. And public finance is, of course, a big contributor to the hydrogen valleys, since there still is a major gap between let's say, the commercial viability of hydrogen projects and the real production costs. So European Innovation Fund, European Hydrogen Bank, the Recovery and Resilience Facility, the Invest in EU program, and state aid through specific instruments. And then also we have European Hydrogen Academy in Prague to support the education and training purposes, and obviously all the national endeavors then to entail hydrogen-related education in universities and professional training institutions. Then lastly, the Clean Hydrogen Partnership also is mandated to develop hydrogen valleys globally. So we have the Clean Hydrogen Mission under Mission Innovation, which aims at international cooperation between global hydrogen valley developments. So not only in Europe, but also there's cooperation between all the existing hydrogen valleys globally. So information sharing between individual hydrogen valley projects globally is one of those vehicles that support the developments. So in short, we come to the key takeaways. Hydrogen valleys aim at demonstrating systemic transformation in action. It's still quite crucial to have the hydrogen value chains built up end to end so that there are no bottlenecks in any of the parts of the value chains. Secondly, each hydrogen valley is unique in their scope, in their scale, in their timing. Different sizes, different concepts, different end products, different experiences, different circumstances. So they serve initially the local or regional needs in this stage of development, and sharing the experiences, of course, is the key. So by doing this, we enable the scale up of hydrogen transition and share the best learnings, because there are many barriers to the hydrogen transition today. And these barriers become effectively solved through the Hydrogen Valley projects. And this is the end of my presentation. And thank you, Belen. Thank you to the audience for your interest, and waiting for the questions section then to continue. And happy to move on.
Very much, Leena. Thank you very much, Leena. Despite the issues at the beginning, I think you've done wonderfully. I'm going to ask you to now stop the presentation, if you may, so that Azahara can actually put hers up. And I just wanted, I don't know, to make a remark, perhaps. It's a bit of a question, but it's for all of you and also for the people in the audience. Do we think 50 by 2030? I want to remind people 2030 is 5 years away. Is sustainable considering we have 16 now? This is just what I wanted to ask. I feel that the objectives may be a bit too high for what we might be able to do, but we can talk about that a bit later. Azahara, your presentation is ready. I can see it. You're gonna go forward for me once, just to make sure in the cursor keys, to make sure that you don't have the same issues, Leena. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
So now you can go back and you can go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Belen, and also thank you, Leena, because most of the things that you say, I'm going to explain in detail, because we are from also Hydrogen Valley. Our project is Green Highland project, and the main objective is a deployment of a hydrogen ecosystem of the island of Mallorca. And one of the questions I get asked the most is, why Mallorca? And I like to explain that located in the Mediterranean Sea and as a part of the Balearic Island, and beyond is beautiful, clear, turquoise water, amazing cities, and amazing food. Mallorca has a unique and extraordinary geographic and climatic condition, but also, as other islands, face important energy challenges that include, for example, fuel import dependency, high electricity costs, limitation in terms of energy production and interconnection, which together with an unbalanced seasonal energy demand and also an economy that is quite based on tourism, puts a strain on natural resources and infrastructure. So the good news all about this is these challenges also represent a great opportunity for Mallorca and also for other islands to showcase innovative solutions for clean energy transition, develop a new low carbon economy, and also create sustainable tourist policies that unless we are trying to do in Green Highland. As I say before, making an overview from the project, the objective is deploying a full integrated hydrogen system in Mallorca, and Mallorca is the first hydrogen hub or valley, if you want to call it in this way, in Southern Europe. And the scope is bring together all the core elements in a hydrogen value chain, and is based on the integration of 3 deployment sites. That is the hydrogen production plant in Lloseta, that will be the number 1, a distribution infrastructure that will be a deployment of a hydrogen refueling station, that will be the number 2, and hydrogen pipeline and an injection point, that is site 3, together with all the local end users that are the key of any project. So the intention of this project is to expand the impact beyond the technology demonstration delivered by the project, because our project in Mallorca is a pilot plant. So the idea is setting the basis for hydrogen valley and operational example for decarbonization of islands and economies. So talking about covering this in the entire value chain, it's important have a multidisciplinary team. In the project, it's made up for more than 32 entities. We have public entities, as universities, associations, also private entities. And each participant has a specific and defined role through the 7 work packages that define the project, that include management and coordination, deployment preparation, development, reporting, studies, and also socioeconomic analysis. In this slide, I share with you like a black bone of the project in a simplified way. I'm going to explain each critical points. For example, in this aerial photo, you can see in detail the photovoltaic plant of Lloseta, that is the closest one to the pilot plant, and also the pilot plant that is formed by the electrolyzer, that is the main equipment, and also complementary items. Talking about the production of the green hydrogen, it starts with the photovoltaic plants, that is Petra and Lloseta, that together brings 14 megawatts of energy, and they used to supply the energy necessary to the electrolyzer to work. The pilot plant has an estimated capacity of 2.5 megawatts and will produce 300 tons of hydrogen per year. These tons will reduce Iceland's CO2 emission by up to 21,000 tons per year. That is, being a pilot is not so low, is not so low number. So also all this development and being a pioneer project with this innovative and cutting-edge technology present certain challenges that, although we are very lucky, we managed to resolve, normally take time and also delays. For example, during last years, the manufacturer of the electrolyzer identified a potential safety risk in its device. So he requests that all the electrolyzer in this series post its operation. So after this situation, during the following months, we have to work very hard and very closely with the manufacturer to resolve this situation. It was a very struggling month, but even that, as a result, we are contributing to the technological maturation of the project. And right now, we are in the process of provisionally accepting the plant. We are just pending of minor planet improvements for the electrolyzer manufacturer. But although this is not an impediment to producing hydrogen, I'm very proud to say that right now we are producing green hydrogen. So it's a very good news. In this part, I'm going to more in detail about the injection point and the hydrogen transport part. Obviously, produce hydrogen is important, but allocating the hydrogen already produced is crucial. So the expectative is that around 45% of the production, that will be 135 tons per year, will be used to be injected into the natural gas grid. The hydrogen consumption obviously depends on the demand of natural gas. We have some European law limitation that fix a maximum of 2% of hydrogen that can be injected with the respect of the total amount of the natural gas. But in any case, I think that is a quite important step. It's a milestone that we achieve. We expect that the regulation with time change and the maximum and this maximum increase. So, for example, talking about the transport part, in the slide you can see the two trailers that we have in Lloseta. And the purpose of these two trailers is cover routes to provide hydrogen of the end users. They have a capacity of 500 kilograms of hydrogen, and they are loaded at a pressure of 300 bars. These two trailers are currently in operation. You go to Mallorca now and you are lucky. You can see it in the road. So it's also another milestone that we achieve. Talking about the different end users, in the case of them, the allocated production expected is around 55%. That will be 165 tons, and will be used for fuel cells and mobility, as I shown in this slide. We are currently working on fuel cells. I assume that you know what is a fuel cell, but very easy to say, is an electrochemical device that directly transforms chemical energy, that will be hydrogen in this case, into electricity and heat. So, for example, we hope to be able very soon to supply green hydrogen to Iberostar Hotel that is in Mallorca for their consumption, and also is planning to supply this green hydrogen to another fuel cell probably next year, that will be located in a terminal of the Port of Palma. But it's not only one of the use. We also can talk about mobility as a part of consortium, and also as end user. We have a fleet of 5 buses that come from the national entity of transport, and each bus will consume up to 7 tons of hydrogen per year. So in total, we'll consume 55 tons. Obviously, we are exploring other end uses, other necessities, other entities. So we hope to be able to supply hydrogen also for vehicles. We are having conversation with rental cars. So probably in the near future, they are going to join also to the project as other user. But as also Leena said, incentivizing the value chain is not easy. We have received, for example, 10 million euros through the Clean Hydrogen Partnership for the European Commission. Also, the National Institute of Energy, IDAE, has granted Petra and Joseta and the BASIS project. But I wouldn't like overlook this point and only mention our project, because I really share with all of you that the change that since Green Iceland start, we have seen both European and national level where hydrogen is increasing, positioned, and is a fundamental pillar for energy transition. Hydrogen project has been evolved from initial research and demonstration phases, as is this project, to more advanced stage and industrial implementation with increase of this large-scale project. Grants programs have played a key role for this growth. Example that everyone of us know, latest major call for proposal like Innovation Fund, European Hydrogen Bank, and the recently published National Hydrogen Valleys seek to accelerate innovation, foster public-private cooperation, promoting a greater adoption of hydrogen as a sustainable energy, and also encourage the creation of hydrogen corridors and national, obviously, and also European level. But being super honest with you, all of this is not an easy path at all, and during this time, Enagas team and all the consortium team has faced many different challenges and also risk, because develop a new industrial activity with a no super mature technology, with new permitting and a regulation that also is not mature, is difficult. We have to face many risks and delays about procurement processes and commissioning. Also, it's difficult sometimes engage public stakeholders and off-takers about the necessity of energy chain. So also sometimes change in government and in publicist policies could be a stopper. And even I can say that I'm quite lucky, and we have a wonderful partners and a wonderful consortium. Also sometimes manage more than 32 entities is not easy. But however, all of this, I'm quite a positive you. So all these risks and challenges also become a lesson learned. So we have the wonderful opportunity to acquiring technical and operational skills for the execution and management of hydrogen production, storage, distribution, and application for other projects. We can understand very well the challenges associated to hydrogen technology, the regulation, and the policies. If the best way, even is not easy and the opposite is very hard, acquire knowledge and experience that I think that is essential for the development of these larger projects. So in conclusion, I encourage all of you to get involved in the hydrogen value chain. Be part of it, whether if you are a supplier, a developer, an engineering, off-taker, and user. So you can contribute in any way towards decarbonization and to the development of an alternative energy-based economy. That I think personally that is the key for our planet. Thank you all of you for your attention. If you have any question, I will be happy to answer it.
Thank you very much, Azahara. Yeah, in fact, we do have a few questions that have already come in, but we can deal with them at the end. Or you can take a look now if you'd like to answer some. This Mallorca project is a good example of how many companies, can be involved in the same project, learn from one another, and create this virtuous circle. I think this is the beginning, really. The question is really how do we make that more national, and multiply this across the geographies. But we can talk about this later. Next, I'd like to ask Riccardo to please, if you could.
Hello, can you hear me?
You're on mute, Belén.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it happens all the time. I
Sorry,
just want to say,
Belén, I
yeah.
haven't heard you. Sorry.
It was my bad because I muted myself. Don't worry.
Okay.
I was just could you share your screen and begin
Yes,
your
of course.
presentation?
I will start in
And
a while.
whilst you do that, I just like to remind everyone to please send your questions across. Some people have already done so.
Let me
I'd
know if
like
you
to.
see the presentation.
Yes, we can see the presentation.
Okay.
And we can hear you, so go ahead.
Hi, everybody. As I already introduced myself, so I will go on with the presentation directly. Today, I'm going to give you the point of view of an industrial group, as Duferco is, on hydrogen, and particularly on the hub of Giammoro. Giammoro is located in the south of Sicily, and in south of Italy, in Sicily, and is an industrial area in which we have several different industrial spot. Like we have our plant, which is a beam producing plant, so steel. There is a refinery, there is energy production, so it's a melting pot on a point of view of industrial aspect. So Duferco is a group which is started as a trader, and then today and then developed on a more industrial aspect. Today we have the steel the steel production and commercialization. We have the energy production and trading. We have a shipping company, and of course we deal with innovation. So we are very interested in the developing of hydrogen, because hydrogen will touch all of these all of our sector, let's say. So this is a brief spot of what is Duferco Energia from point of view of the energy market, and we deal a lot with e-mobility. So and Duferco Engineering, what we do basically, we provide an overview on feasibility study of the group on the industrial application of innovation project, and so we basically try to stay on to focus on the energy transition technology that can be applied on our processes. Let's talk about a little bit of Jamoro Hub and what we think would be the hydrogen spot on this. Basically, we are 4 ongoing project on Jamoro. The Hydrogen Valley, which we won, we awarded last year, and it is already started. We have some consultancy project on hydrogen itself. We have an interesting project on hydrogen blended to natural gas for the feeding of a peak power plant. And we have also a project on heavy duty decarbonization of our dockyard in Jamoro. So starting from the last one, which is as you can see, there is a collaboration with Athena, which is a consortium in the south of Italy, very expert in hydrogen production and utilization, especially for heavy duty. So we are trying to decarbonize the operation of the discharging of the dockyard through the utilization of 2 tractor hydrogen based. This is still in the study phase, so probably we will start the development of this project during 2025. On the other view, we have this H2 market, which is in collaboration with CNL, SAM, and NORA and Meridionale Impianti, in which we will feed our peak power plant, 58 megawatt, and with a blend around 15% in volume of hydrogen, and try to understand the feedback that we will have on this project will be very interesting from the point of view of the application of such kind of technology to existing plants. So because that turbine we are going to feed with the hydrogen is not, let's say, it's not yet hydrogen ready. So but we believe that up to 15% there will be no major issue. So it's an interesting project. Is already on the permitting phase, and next year will be realized on our side. I'll try to go directly to what is the Hydrogen Valley in Jamoro on industrial area, dismissed in industrial area. Is a project we developed with Nippon Gases and Caronte, which is Nippon Gases, of course, is a worldwide major player on production and commercialization of technical gases, and while Caronte is a local transportation company, ferry to that connected the Sicily with all the small island around Sicily. We are going to build a green production of hydrogen based on 1 megawatt of electrolyzer, 400 kilos of storage, and coupled with a 4 megawatt peak power plant that will be based on our roof, and 7.3 megawatt hour battery capacity. This will allow us to produce around 100 tons per year with an operating hours of 4,500 operating of the electrolyzer. This choice is due to the fact that we will try to use only the green energy that we are going to produce with the PV plant. Probably we will buy from the net only a small amount of energy just to balance the transitory to balance the energy request in a transitory time. The project value is around 10 million and is financed by the PNRR schema of Italian government, around 75% of investment. The major off-taker today is the refinery, the RAM refinery, which is very close to us, but we are trying to develop a mobility feeding because the Messina cities is willing to buy sort of let's say some local buses hydrogen based. So we are already started talking with them in order to feed the buses with our hydrogen. So probably, as I show you in the previous slide, we will also organize a refueling station in the area. This will allow to feed up to 8 buses with an interesting aspect from point of view of the cost, because the life cycle operating cost will be around 7.3 euro per kilo of the hydrogen, and which will allow to feed the bus with a cost of 0.721 euro per kilometer, which is of course all of this is possible with the contribution, but this amount is on the lower value of what is the transportation, bus transportation or truck transportation. So this is a general overview of what we are developing there. It's not they are not the only project we are working on the hydrogen, but we're trying to with these projects to change a little bit what is today the industrial area of Giammoro in order to promote the energy transition and the hydrogen development.
Thank you very much to all of you for the presentations. If I can ask with some questions of my own. So the first question I asked earlier, we have 16 valleys at the moment in Europe. At least the valleys sort of recognized, I think, at the European level. Maybe I don't know how they define them, whether they have to be a certain size. Do you think 50 valleys by 2030 is doable? Or maybe we're talking about early plans for these valleys? I don't know, Leena, if you want to start, because I know, for example, Enagas is a massive company and they're involved in many different valleys, you know. So it's not like every company has to be in one, you know, many companies can be in several. But I just still feel that from 16 to 50, 5 years doesn't seem a lot of time. So what do you think?
Well, if I answer first, I would
Yes,
think
go ahead.
Those 16 projects that we have on the support list right now, it's not the number of actual hydrogen valleys out there. So it's the number only for those projects that have received funding. So in reality, we already have more hydrogen valleys. It's a question of them being applicable to public support.
To receive the money. So I assume to receive money, you don't have an issue. You're always going to get a lot of people who want the cash. The thing is to know what to give it to. And I've noticed, this is a question for the two of you, for Azahara and Riccardo. I noticed that the two of you in the end up selling the hydrogen to buses, which makes sense, you know, at this stage, given the price of the green hydrogen, the decarbonization potential. But I mean, in order for this to grow further, then we need other stakeholders, other like off-takers. So I know there is a number of off-takers that could use the hydrogen, but what I want to really know from you is which would be the next ones after the buses that you think that, you know, the next few off-takers that make most sense in terms of, you know, you could say like, air travel, but air travel is really down the line, right? It's not tomorrow. So who could be like an off-taker tomorrow, sort of thing?
Okay, for our case, for example, as I say in my presentation, we are having conversation with rental cars because maybe you know, but Mallorca has a really big tourist place. It's a beautiful site. So really companies of car development and rental are increasing interest about how they can join these new vehicles that work with hydrogen, with the necessity of have more rental cars in the island. If you go to Mallorca and you want to rental a car, probably you get many troubles if you're doing in summer, because also they are quite expensive because the demand is very high. So for example, this is a way and this is an idea that we are working for it. Maybe hydrogen vehicles will be a reality in a near future. Also, for example, we have boats involved, or we have conversation with boats developers and small catamaran boats that they use, they have like private and also public entities that have this boat, because also Mallorca have this quite amazing marine and aquatic environment. So we have this Posidonia. Normally boats are really limited to be used in the island. So they are other way to other possibility of user that we have. Also, for example, exploring the fuel cell in the hotel open an amazing and also a challenge via for create others end user. Also, if it was properly, probably other hotels will be used for cells, because even if you are a user, you are a normal citizen that visit Mallorca, can be choose or have the opportunity to choose if you want to stay in a normal hotel or a hotel that use hydrogen energy to generate all the electricity, all the heat. Is also an amazing choose that everyone can do. So it's other view that we want to explore. The limitation is our project is a pilot project, it's not a large scale. So we have not talking about super big industries or so many large transport, because the capacity is limited. But in any case, we are opening to hear and to explore other end user and other and share knowledge in this way.
I mean, the thing is, literally, like in an island, you know, unless you put cables everywhere, really, you're limited in terms of how much energy you can produce. So I think an island is really good for hydrogen as it starts.
Yes.
Good idea with the vehicles for hydrogen, providing that you can get them cheaply, because I can imagine the Euro part would want to pay like 4 or 5 times as much as a normal car for a car that uses hydrogen. I don't know. Is it just because they don't pay for the fuel, do they? So why do they care? But there is something about the green tourism that you were talking about in Mallorca and Ibiza and all of these islands for sure at this like high level where people maybe can afford that sort of thing. So good points. I like your response. What about you, Riccardo? I noticed that you were responding some other questions. I'm sorry to interrupt.
I was no problem. I will answer later on. Let me say one thing from the industrial point of view. Hydrogen has been used. I mean, I'm coming from the steel sector, so we have been using hydrogen for more than 100 years. So it's not a new molecular. It's something that we deal with it normally. Refinery as well. So the problem is not to have a off-taker which are not the mobility one. The problem today is that the cost of green hydrogen and the amount which is needed by the industrial application is completely another figures. I mean, gray hydrogen today stands around 1 to 1.5 euro per kilo. So it means that we are 4 times higher from that values. And a key point is of course, the cost of energy, which today in Europe is not even homogeneous. So I'm talking about Italy, of course, because if we start talking about the northern part of Europe, then we have some other figures. So that's why we are looking at mobility as a primary channel to develop the hydrogen, because in that case, the cost of hydrogen is already in line on the cost of gasoline and petrol, and so to speed up the hydrogen transition could be a key factor. Another possible utilization is the one that I already highlighted in my presentation. Can be the heavy duty. In that case, what we have that electrical vehicle for the heavy duty is not an option, unless you want to double your fleet, or at least double the battery, because when you have application working 7/7, 24 hours per day, of course the time to recharge is an issue for such kind of application. So these two can be the first channel to push the hydrogen development.
Thank you very much, Riccardo. I agree, and I think there is looking at the questions, there are like some like misconceptions here. I think, I mean, no one is claiming that like clean hydrogen is competitive. It cannot be, because it's beginning, there is very little of it. It's not scaled up to the level, which is what the valleys are supposed to do, don't get me wrong, to begin the chain so that it can be scaled up over time. But you have to create essentially the demand, which is the problem, right? Because you need to be able to burn it before people want to take it, and so on and so forth. And then, I don't know, someone said to me once, like, it's not that green hydrogen is expensive, it's that dirty hydrogen is cheap. Generally, dirty energy is very cheap. That's the problem. If you were to make it the cost that it is, and like seeing how half of Europe is underwater at the moment, if we were to put all of these externalities into the price of of the dirty, I think we need to speak talking about a dirty energy at this stage, like then you get to a point where you can actually see that what you're paying for is worth paying for. But you're creating a new energy, like it's almost like a baby. You're trying to feed it, so that it grows enough that at one point it can be a little bit cheaper. And I think, for example, there's a question here about electrolyzers and the capex of electrolyzers. I mean, the capex of electrolyzers is a problem, but 70% is OPEX, is electricity. So electricity really is the main driver. You can make them as cheap as you want, electrolyzers, and if the electricity is expensive, it just won't work. It's one of these things I wanted to say, that we must focus our concentration and our like effort in like 80% of the problem 80% of the time, not 20% of the problem 20% of the time, because that's just like a little bit useless. So cost of electricity is the most important, and as Riccardo said, there's big variations. And there is also here, I wanted to ask, three of you, I open, there is a question here from Victor about cybersecurity, cyber dangers. There may be a perception that once you have a hydrogen valley, everything is in the same place. And I think this is a misconception. So I don't know, Leena, if you would want to explain a bit, like whether, you see a danger, or whether cyber danger or physical danger, that this could become easily key infrastructure, valleys could become key infrastructure that, say, for example, in the case of wanting to disable a country, you could easily like bomb, say, or disable or something, or maybe because the question is here, right? And it's not how I see it in my head, but I think other people might see it like that.
Yeah, of course, the safety aspects of hydrogen are crucial, and systems basically need to be designed so that the cybersecurity aspects are being taken care of. Like, I mean, it starts from the engineering to plan everything, the hardware side, safely. So the cybersecurity risks are reflected on the engineering design already. And as Belén, you said that hydrogen valleys themselves can be geographically quite large. For instance, the Baltic Sea Hydrogen Valley extends across the Baltic Sea. So it covers the entire value chain from production of hydrogen up till the end use in some marine ports and locations at sea. So cybersecurity threats could realize or materialize in different parts of the value chain without the whole value chain being affected.
Thank you very much. Two more questions and we'll leave it for today. One of them is like, this is very specific and easy to answer. Is there a list where all the hydrogen valleys are? The European Union has a list, at least of the ones they've invested on, I'm sure.
Yes, there's a list. And there was actually a Hydrogen Valley event in June with latest presentations on each project. So you can even find that webpage where they explain all the details of the projects and their status. Okay,
so we'll keep an eye on them anyway, because like personally from ATA Insights, I believe that they are going to be the biggest actually like rainmakers in terms of hydrogen over time. It's just gonna the scales of these valleys are so large that they take time to put together, but eventually like that's where we're heading. So there is a question here that is more for Riccardo and for Azahara. How has the delegated act regarding additionality and time correlation affected your projects? What a great question. Although it's not coming in place until 2028, but still, like, how has it affected your problems?
Can you repeat, because my connection has
Is the second question, the one from Juan Fernandez, that is asking how additionality and time correlation is affecting your projects. You know what the European Union came out in the European...
I can answer from my side. My project is already ready for the 2028 regulation. So it means that that's the choice to operate only, let's say, half of the year, because we are not we are only dealing with the green energy produced, and so with the green energy we are going to feed the battery storage, and through the battery storage feed the plant. So it's already let's say complying with such kind of regulation. Of course, if you ask me what I think about this kind of regulation, I will say that will not help to develop the hydrogen in Europe. I mean, it has to be changed, of course. We are asking in every table, we are invited to speak, because if we want really to develop hydrogen, we need to deal with this regulation. The hourly, at least to let's say to make the regulation a little bit more softer, and try to the hourly connection between the production of energy and the hydrogen production could be at least a monthly one, like is today. That's my point.
And Azahara, it's going to be harder, but I tell you, like, I think, for example, in Spain, we're not going to feel it that much or for that long, because our grid will become decarbonized shortly after. But of course, not every country is in the situation. I mean, Finland and Sweden, they don't even have a problem with that. But
yes,
Azahara, yeah.
I'm totally agree with Riccardo, and also we have other concerns. For example, talking about warranty of origins. Probably you know we are something that we are working on it. There is some schemes and mechanisms are going to be certified by a third part that will be completely independent. And so the main idea is to be transparent and help the buyers to know which kind of hydrogen they are buying, where and how it's produced. Also to try to meet all the policies about sustainability. in the near future, we expected that it could also work as electricity, the way that an end user, that pay the electricity, for example, could know how many energy that consume and pay come from, for example, hydrogen. So it's another step that we are dealing with it, because in each new technology, all the regulation and all the policies matters, and matters I say that maybe is as important as producing hydrogen, because right now we have the not easy solution of we are producing hydrogen, but there are so many things that right now we can control. And obviously we have to wait about law regulation, transposition between European laws to national laws, for example, in Spain and also maybe in Italy. So we just can wait. Try to find the best solution for everyone, because I think that the basis of all of this is the have an other alternative energy supply is compulsory, is necessary. We face in all Europe problems with the Russian-Ukrainian war, about the prices, about the problems with the users. So it's something that we have to do. We only have to find the way, but it's not easy.
Oh, for sure. Guys, I am really now paying attention to what is going to have to 45V, which is like the part of the American law that actually regulates how they're going to do it. And as you know, when it came out, it was very, very similar to the stuff that we had. They called it differently, but essentially it was the same: time matching, geographical matching. And obviously, I don't think we're going to hear anything until after the election. And election's a little bit of a coin toss, right? It could go either way, and it's going to change everything, I think. If the EU ends up with very similar situation as the US, I think it might prevail in the whole of the world. If it isn't, I don't know whether the European Union on its own can continue to be so high and mighty in a new sort of economic reality, of, say, decarbonization like hydrogen. I don't know. We'll wait and see. For sure, it's a very interesting conversation here. So thank you very much. We run out of time. So thank you very much, Leena. Thank you very much, Azahara, and thank you very much, Riccardo. It's been delightful sharing webinar with you. Great to learn from you and your projects. I hope that we can do like another session in a year or so and see how things are advancing, and what other hydrogen valleys we have, because for sure we're going to be watching very, very closely. If you are not in a hydrogen valley yet, I do recommend that you start conversations as soon as you can with the hydrogen that is nearest to you, the valley that is nearest to you. Not always is easy to get in, you have to ask, what are the needs of that valley and what is being done in that valley. But usually there is opportunities for all of the companies that get involved. So I think it's a good opportunity to dip your toe anyway in this industry. Thank you very much, all of you, and hope to see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye.